Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to read Wolf Island by Selah Godkin. Once there was an island. It was an island with trees and meadows and many kinds of animals. There were mice, rabbits, deer, squirrels, foxes, and several kinds of birds. All the animals on the island depended on the plants and the other animals for their food and well-being. Some animals ate grass and other plants, some ate insects, some ate other animals. The island animals were healthy. There was plenty of food for all. Here's our picture. A family of wolves lived on the island too, a male wolf and a female and their 5 pups. One day, the wolf pups were playing on the beach while their mother and father slept. The pups found a strange object at the edge of the water. It was a log raft nailed together with boards. The pups had never seen anything like this before. They were very curious. See, here are our pups, and here's the raft that they found. Now, you know good readers always have to try to make pictures in their mind, okay? So as I read this, I'm going to read it to you, and I want you to make the picture in your mind, and then I'm going to show you, and you see if it matches. The pups couldn't turn the raft back, and the pups were too scared to swim, so the adult wolves swam out to the raft and climbed aboard. The raft drifted slowly and steadily over to the mainland. Finally, it came to rest on the shore, and the wolf family scrambled onto dry land. There were no longer any wolves on the island. Okay, so they got on. So they left the island. Okay. I wonder how the wolves will get back to the island. I wonder what will happen to the food chain without the wolves. Here we go. Winter was mild that year with little snow. The green plants were buried under a thin white layer. Deer dug through the snow to find their food. They had plenty to eat. Okay, so we know there's lots of food. The next spring, many fawns were born. There were now many deer on the island. They were eating large amounts of grass and leaves. The wolf family had kept the deer population down because wolves eat deer for food. Without wolves to hunt the deer, there were now too many deer on the island for the amount of food available. See all the fawns that were born? Okay, so did I get that correctly? Without the wolves at the top of the food chain, there will be more plant eaters like the deer. And so now, what do you think is going to happen next? Is there going to be another problem with this? Spring grew into summer and summer into fall. More and more deer ate more and more grass and more leaves. Rabbits had less to eat because the deer were eating their food. There were not many baby bunnies born that year. Foxes had less to eat because there were fewer rabbits for them to hunt. So what do you think the island looks like now? If you were drawing a picture of it. All right, and look at it. And it's showing you that there's less plants, it's starting to look more sandy, and then all these deer everywhere, but less of the other animals. Mice had less to eat because the deer had eaten the grass and the seed. There were not many baby mice born that year. Owls had less to eat because there were fewer mice for them to hunt. Many animals on the island were hungry. See our picture? So rabbits had less to eat, mice had less to eat, foxes had less to eat, and the owls had less to eat. Which of these animals has the best chance of getting enough food? Well, the owls are the only ones that can leave the island, right? The first snow fell. Squirrels curled up in their holes, wrapped their tails around themselves for warmth, and went to sleep. The squirrels were lucky. They had collected a store of nuts for the winter. Other animals did not have winter stores. They had to find food in the snow. Winter is a hard time for animals, but this winter was harder than most. The snow was deep and the weather cold. Most of the plants had already been eaten during the summer and fall. The few that remained were hard to find, buried deep under the snow. Okay, isn't that a pretty picture? So why are all these bad things happening? Rabbits were hungry, Foxes were hungry, mice were hungry, owls were hungry, even the deer were hungry. The whole island was hungry. The owls flew over to the mainland looking for mice. They flew over to the wolf family walking along the main shore. The wolves were thin and hungry too. They had not found a home because there were other wolf families on the mainland. The other wolves did not want to share with them. There's a picture. So the wolves had problems even though there was much more land, okay? Now, the owls are able to fly back and forth, okay? Snow fell for many weeks. The drifts became deeper and deeper. It was harder and harder for the animals to find food. Animals grew weaker and some began to die. The deer were so were so hungry they gnawed bark from the trees. Trees began to die. Snow covered the island. The weather grew colder and colder, and ice began to form in the water around the island and along the mainland coast. It grew thicker and thicker, spreading further and further out into the water. One day, the ice reached all the way from the mainland to the island. The wolf family crossed the ice and returned to their old home. Wow, so they're getting to come back. So do you think maybe life will go back to normal on the island? The wolves were hungry when they reached the island. There were many weak and sick deer for them to eat. The wolves left the healthy deer alone. So they left the healthy deer alone because they were probably harder to catch, right? Because the wolves are hungry and they're weaker, so they caught the weaker deer. Finally, spring came. The snow melted and the grass and leaves began to grow. The wolves remained in their island home hunting deer. No longer were there too many deer on the island. Grass and trees would grow again. Rabbits would find enough food. The mice would find enough food. There would be deer. The island would have food enough for all. Life on the island was back in balance. So the top of the food chain returned and everything set back to normal on the island like it was supposed to be. Thanks for listening.